This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 407, Why We Treat Buyers Like Family.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers, and this is the podcast that embraces the effortless action and Taoist style of non-pushy sales. Well, don't you know that each January I travel to a small island at the southernmost tip of the United States? Key West has a motto, quote, "All people are equal members of one human family." Not only do I agree with this, but apply this to prospective buyers too. In today's episode, we investigate the power of building rapport and how viewing perfect strangers as family can erase skepticism, cultivate trust, which is the foundation of any successful selling opportunity. How to treat buyers like family? That's the topic for today. But before we start, make sure and subscribe to the podcast and also follow us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and myself on LinkedIn. You can find links in the show notes. Now, with no further ado, let's get to it. And now today's chapter. When selling, be a stranger to no one, cousin to all, just like family you rarely see at the wedding or funeral. Respectful, yet genuine, catching up on their lives. Gregarious, yet authentic, accepting them for who they are. The master seller is easy to know, trusted at the start. And now today's story. Pat and Chris registered for a trade show. It was to be attended by many prospective clients. At the first panel of the opening day, the attendees were seated at round tables. Throughout the morning, Pat chatted with everyone, asking about their travels, where they were from, where they had eaten the night before, and what they hoped to learn at the event. Pat treated them like old friends. During the break, Chris asked Pat, "Why aren't you telling them more about our company and the new product announcement? These people seem like a perfect fit for us." Pat agreed. They are a good fit, but now is not the right time. Our goal is to build relationships, connect, and follow up at a later date. They are here to build relationships. The last thing they need is an infomercial. "So what's the plan?" asked Chris. Pat responded, "Throughout the conference, I've asked each of the prospects if they'd like to continue the conversation at a later time. They all said yes. Back at the office, I'll follow up and say how great it was to meet them and mention some detail that they shared when we met. This is how you become memorable. When I ask to schedule a sales call, they'll be happy to agree." Lao Tzu wrote, "Masters don't accumulate. The more they help, the happier they are. The more they give, the wealthier they are." This is true for sellers too. People are more alike than not, and just like you, have the same hopes and fears, wants and needs. To know this is to know the interconnectedness of all humanity. Treating everyone as family cultivates trust. Even with strangers, when buyers are open to listening, it's effortless for sellers to help. Now, if you enjoyed this week's episode, you can actually download a copy of the text from the chapter of the Tao of Sales Babble. I have those all stored in the show notes at salesbabble.com. And while you're there, you can sign up for a brief weekly newsletter that contains links to the podcast. Next, if you could do me a favor and share this episode with a friend who's also interested in growing their selling skills, please do. because word of mouth is the premier way of growing our sales community. And if you have any questions about sales, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn, easy peasy, or click on the Babble Me link at salesbabble.com. Sales is one of my favorite topics. I'd love to help you out. With that said, that's all I've got for this week. Until next Tuesday, take care and have a highly successful and a profitable selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.
This is a production of Habanero Media.